So we are back again. This episode is just so crazy that I needed to make a follow-up video on it after new information was discovered. So once again, I mentioned this in my previous video that the creator said this is one of their personal favorite episodes, and it's so easy to see why. There is so much in this one episode. So it's just so much with Belos. What we're really going to be looking at here, sorry if you hear my mouse clicking, I'm going to be looking at a lot of my sort of research here, is we're going to be looking at this mural. The collection of the murals taken from the backgrounds of this episode. So before we get into this, I also want to talk about how Belos is a witch hunter. Kind of an interesting name, witch hunter, and then we have Hunter himself. It's a little silly. So we also need to talk about when Belos got to the Boiling Isles. So he says in Elsewhere and Elsewhen that the human year is around 1660 or 1670. So this is around the time when, you know, Belos is sort of just getting used to the Boiling Isles, or just entering the Boiling Isles. The Salem witch trials took place in the province of Massachusetts Bay around 1692, if I'm just looking up a bunch of random stuff on Google. So that's like, you know, quite a few years after Belos got to the Boiling Isles, but the sort of culture and understanding of witches were still around before then, so it was still seen as something bad even though it was before the Salem witch trials. But a lot of that was in the province of Massachusetts Bay, which does take place in parts of Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. That's the important one, is Connecticut, because Luce is from Connecticut. You know who else is from Connecticut? You know who else is actually straight up from Luce's town? Belos and his brother. They are both from that era. So, you know, even if it is a little premature, the children of that time would grow up into the Salem witch trials when they would be like 50 or something. So Philip, in the start of this, he's quite young, but when he's, like, you know, he's his Philip age, when he gets to the Boiling Isles, he's like, what, maybe in his 20s or 30s? So give or take like another 30 years, he probably would have been one of the accusers, if he wouldn't have died, because people died early back then. He probably would have been one of the accusers to, you know, point fingers at witches. So he is truly witch hunting. He is just dumb, dude. Belos is dumb. Belos is cringe, and he needs to be canceled. But there's so much to unpack here in these murals, and I've seen a lot of claims about like some things I just don't really understand, so maybe you can all help me out with this. So we're looking at these murals here. You know, we're starting up in the top left. If you just look around, you know, you can obviously see there are two people. One, you see Belos, or Philip, who has the sort of brown hair. That is Philip. Then you see the white-haired or blonde, who looks very similar to Hunter, and that is Belos' brother. I've been hearing people toss the name Caleb around. I know that's the fake name that Hunter used. I don't know if that was a coincidence or what, but people are calling him Caleb for some reason. I don't know if I missed a detail about that somewhere, but that is a thing that people are discussing. You can kind of see little Belos and his brother sort of near an angry mob. It looks as if they're, I can't tell, it doesn't look like they're being chased by the angry mob, but it looks almost as if they're like joining up with them or part of them. It's a little hard to tell, but if there's an angry mob, it could be them, you know, being an angry mob against witches or something. Maybe they grew up hating witches. It's kind of hard to tell. The other one just sort of looks like a portrait. It's extremely blurry, but it looks like a portrait of the two of them. Then there's another one where we see Belos' brother carving the mask for Belos, you know, the inner self Belos, the very miniature version. He is wearing the mask that Belos' brother here is carving. Should I just call him Caleb for now? No, I'll just call him Belos' brother, because it's not even confirmed to my knowledge. Then over here to the right, we have, it's kind of hard to really tell, but it sort of looks like I see an Emperor Belos face up in the top left, and then someone is getting attacked near the bottom right, or something. Someone's leaning over. It's really hard to tell with these blurry images, but I'm sure a lot of this will come to light in a future episode, but still continually moving on. Over to the right, we see Belos' brother walking up towards somebody with like a flame, and we see Belos in the background watching his brother go toward said flame. Maybe it's magic. I think what it is maybe they were transported to the Boiling Isles, both of them. Maybe Philip was young when he was transported to the Boiling Isles. It's kind of hard to tell, but it seems to me that they were growing up despising witches, like that's what they were taught, and then despite of that, Belos' brother was interested in magic. So it seems like if you look at one, we're going to skip over this one because I can't really tell what's going on here. I think this is them in the Boiling Isles because you can kind of see the sort of horns. If you look in this mural here, you look at Belos, and it looks like Belos' brother with somebody, like some woman. Obviously, probably going to be a witch or something. Just some random witch or something. And Belos is extremely mad. He is a witch hunter. He hates witches. So he's looking at this, and he's like, I hate this. Why the frick is my brother marrying some frickin' witch on the Boiling Isles? And it looks like she's pregnant too, so it's like, what the frick? You like betrayed me by, marrying a witch or whatever. And then here we see, over in this next one, we see the Belos monster sort of thing. And it's really creepy. I imagine this is Belos' form when he has been taking in palismen or whatever. So it's scary. It's kind of creepy. And we see Belos' brother hug him in this form. He's like, oh, it's okay. He's hugging him. Next one over, it looks to be the woman that is from one of the previous panels. Belos' brother, who for some reason doesn't have his face cut out in this one. And then Philip with a dagger behind his back. So it seems like he's going to try and kill the witch lady. People are theorizing that this is him inviting Philip to their wedding. It's kind of hard to tell. But then we look at this image and we see that it's the brothers fighting off. They both have daggers and they're fighting in this field of flames. And it's still pretty hard to tell what's going on in a lot of these. But they're fighting. The brothers fought. And then in the next one, you see that Belos' brother has fallen. That's right. He killed his own brother. And you can tell that it's really hard to tell just because of like the blurriness, but look at the shape of their noses. That's how I can tell the difference. You look at Belos' brother's nose here, then look at Philip's nose here, and then look at the body on the ground that's like near the fire, and then look at the one that is reflecting in the dagger. You can't really see their nose, but you see the one who's fallen on the ground. Their nose is clearly frickin' Belos' brother version. And then you look at the next one over, and it seems to be the woman from earlier attacking Belos, who was running away. You see like the body of the brother. There's like a lot of smoke or like ash on these. It's really, really hard to tell. I think it's blurry on purpose. But she is attacking Belos, potentially cursing him with something. It's hard to tell. And then maybe in the next panel, he is, going to meet up with witches to see if he can make himself become uncursed. Maybe he's talking with witches to try and trick them into killing them, or if he needs sacrifices for something. And this is when we get really, really sort of dark and deep and hard to explain. So then we see right here the sigils, or the glyphs, or whatever you want to call them, the glyph combos on Belos' body itself. So we've seen these in Elsewhere and Elsewhen at the end, when he gets all freaky after he pulls his sleeve down and he needs the palisman to help restore it. We don't know what the palisman do. It's probably like pure magic essence, and with that pure magic essence, he's able to calm himself down. But here, I was wondering if, this is really dark and creepy, but you can look, just the way he's holding the knife, right? Why is he holding the knife that way? That looks like as if he was carving into his own arm sigils. Because you know what will stay on your arm forever? There were no things back then. I don't think there were like tattoos back then, so you couldn't like tattoo or anything. But what would stay on your arm permanently, but more than anything else? That's a scar. So what he did was he carved magic glyphs into himself with a knife so that he'd have magic power like that. That is freaky. That is actually straight up freaky. Because Belos is human, he doesn't have magic. But if he has these freaking glyphs on him, he can use those powers that he used on Luce or whatever they are. Those dark, gooey powers. It's really hard to comprehend, to be honest. But that is so creepy. The fact that he carved magic sigils, glyphs, into himself. That's what I think, at least. It's not confirmed or anything. These are all just up in the air, at least to my knowledge. Maybe some people will find or make some more conclusive claims. But right now, it looks like as if he carved into his own hand. And that's freaky, dude. Then in the next one, we just see him absorbing palisman. We've seen him do that. But this is probably near the start when he starts needing to do it. And then we have the last two images where he dons the mask of Emperor Belos. And we see him sort of look at himself in the mirror, holding his face. And we see the dagger that he placed in this little thing. It's hard to tell. There's something in the water as well. I don't really know what it is. It's freaky though. So the same dagger he used to backstab his brother, kill his brother, carve magic glyphs into himself, he just puts it down into this little pail of water after he's done. That's so freaky, dude. It's so freaky. Ugh. Belos killed his own brother. And like it was so sad because you look up near the top and it's like Belos' brother, his brother loves him. He clearly loved him. But I just don't think Belos adapted to the Boiling Isles. He became a witch hunter, and this is where like Belos becomes a lot more of an interesting person, because rather than just a super intelligent villain, which is like what we all thought he was, we thought he was just some ancient, old man who was super wise. He's just a bitter, sour, sensitive jerk who's so stubbornly set in his ways that he needs to freaking wipe out the planet using the Collector. We don't even know what the Collector's motivation is besides just, I'm bored, let's have fun. Bill Cipher and all that. Oh, there's so much. There is so much just in the background. In the freaking background. There's another whole story being told in the background of another story. It's crazy. Here's another thing somebody found. The city on the mountain where Luce and Ida trained, where Luce learned how to use the ice glyph. Yeah, take a look here. It's the same village that Belos burned down, trying to convince people that wild witches were attacking him. So it's like, what the heck? That's so cool how they sort of keep the same background. It's not just ruins. There's lots and lots of ruins and so many different, forms of media. But here it's like you actually just see it side by side, and how those ruins came to be and how it was because of Belos. It's so crazy. People are even finding like old art comparisons to the Collector, like the Collector's character design, and comparing it to older artists. And even Donna confirms that, yeah, that is one of the show's biggest influences, which is just so cool. It is absolutely insane how many people are freaking out about this episode, and I absolutely love it. I am so excited to see what happens next. Let me know your thoughts, everybody, and please let me know if there's anything you missed, because I want to keep talking about, this episode, or I'm making a video about Hunter, hopefully in a couple of days, because I really want to talk about Hunter. He's such an interesting character, so let me know if there's anything that I missed, because we will discover it together. Well, we're going to have to work together to find out what the frick is happening with Belos' twisted freaking mind. Alright, that'll be it. I'll see you later, everybody. Have a good one, and don't cry too loudly tonight, because I know I will.